Diddy adopted a white child. No, what's your last name? What's your other last name?
On a little girl named Ava Grace Baldwin.
Y'all can't see this is trafficking?
She was just 6 years old when she was reported missing from her elementary school in Texas.
The tooth fairy will come and get it.
Yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child.
The courtroom felt like a balloon about to pop. Everyone was on edge. News reporters sat with shaky hands, gripping their pens so tight their knuckles turned white. Fans wearing old Bad Boy Records t-shirts squeezed next to serious-looking lawyers. Nobody said a word. Then bang! The judge hit his wooden hammer on the desk. The room went dead quiet. Then came the name that shattered every expectation in the room. Kareem Karbouch, better known as French Montana. French, the Bronx rap legend behind hits like Unforgettable and Pop That, was no stranger to this stand. He had testified before in the Sean Diddy Combs trial, his words already exposing a dark web of control within the Bad Boy empire. His earlier accounts of secret parties, mysterious contracts, and an industry built on silence had shaken the music world. But today, French was back, his face marked with a raw resolve that hushed the crowd. He was not here to repeat old stories. He was here to drop a truth so shocking, so strange, it made Diddy mad. French had been a key figure in Diddy's world since the late 2000s, a loyal soldier bound by the glow of nightclubs and the lure of fame. But French's return to the stand was about exposing a secret he had held back, one that could uncover Diddy's legacy and raise unsettling questions about a child caught in a world of power and shadows. Before we continue, hit that like button to support our video. When French started his testimony, his voice was low but steady, carrying the weight of years of unease. I have said a lot before about Diddy's world, French began, but there is one thing I could not shake, one thing I held back. It is about a little girl named Ava. French testified that he first heard whispers about Ava in 2013, when Diddy adopted a young white girl around 8 years old who appeared in his life with little fanfare.
Everyone, introduce yourself.
My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No, what's your last name?
Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Eva Baroni Combs? Yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents but you're my child also. But please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Yeah.
Where's she at in that photo?
At first, I thought it was a good thing, French said. Diddy is a mogul, always in the spotlight. Adopting a kid seemed like a big move, like he was giving back, but it did not take long to see something was off. Ava was rarely seen in public, French explained. You didn't see her in family photos or at kid-friendly events like you would expect, he said. No birthday parties, no holiday posts, but she would show up at these late-night gatherings dressed in fancy clothes like she was part of the scene. It felt wrong, like she did not belong there. French's voice grew heavier as he described a night in 2014 at a private penthouse in Miami. Ava was there, sitting alone on a velvet couch, surrounded by adults who barely looked her way. She was quiet, just watching everyone, French said. I asked Diddy who she was. He gave this strange smile and said, "She is my little treasure." The way he said treasure did not sound like a dad talking about his daughter. It sounded like he was talking about something he owned. The jury leaned in as French recounted more sightings of Ava, each one stranger than the last. In 2015, at a yacht party off the Bahamas, he saw her again, maybe 9 years old, dressed in a sparkly dress that looked too grown up. She was sitting by the pool, staring at the water, French said. I tried to say hi just to make her smile, but a woman I didn't know stepped in and said, "She's fine, don't worry." But Ava didn't look fine. She looked lost, like she was somewhere she should not be. French then grew visibly tense as he shared a memory from 2016 at Diddy's Los Angeles mansion. He overheard a hushed conversation that made his blood run cold. Diddy was talking to some guy in a suit, French said. They were talking about the girl and keeping things locked in. The guy said, "She is a good investment." I felt sick. I didn't know what it meant, but it was not right. No one talks about a kid like that. By 2019, French started piecing together a disturbing picture. He met a former bad boy assistant at a studio session, someone he trusted, who shared a rumor that shook him. "She told me Ava's adoption was not what it seemed," French said. "She said it was tied to some kind of deal with powerful people overseas. Ava was like a symbol, a way to seal a partnership. I didn't want to believe it, but it made sense. The way she was kept out of sight, the way she was brought out at certain parties like she was on display." French's voice softened, his pain clear. "I kept seeing her face in my mind," he said. "She was just a kid, caught in something bigger than her. I wondered what she was told, what her life was like. It ate at me." He admitted he had no hard proof, but the signs were too strong to ignore. The secretive events, the odd comments, the way Ava was hidden yet paraded at strange moments, it all pointed to something dark. The courtroom sat in stunned silence, struggling with the idea of a child entangled in a world of power and secrets. French then leaned into the microphone, his eyes scanning the jury with a mix of guilt and resolve. "Ava was not just a face I saw at those parties," he said, his voice low but piercing. "She was a question I could not answer, a puzzle that kept me up at night. Every time I saw her, every whisper I heard, it added another piece to something I did not want to believe." French described how Ava's presence lingered in his mind, her quiet attitude and the strange way she was treated nagging at him. "I would see her at these events, always with someone watching her," he said, "not like a parent but like a guard. She would sit there, dressed up like a doll, not talking, not smiling. I would try to catch her eye, just to see if she was okay, but she would look away, like she had been told not to connect." One memory stood out from a 2017 party at a private club in Dubai. French was there with Diddy, mingling with a crowd of international elites, businessmen with heavy accents, women in designer dresses, and a few faces he recognized from music but did not trust. Ava, around 12 years old then, was seated at a small table in the corner, her blonde hair tied back, her dress shimmering under the dim lights. "She looked out of place," French said. "Everyone else was laughing, drinking, making deals, but Ava was just there, like a prop. I asked a guy next to me who she was. He smirked and said, 'Diddy's special guest.' The way he said it made my skin crawl." French testified that he started noticing patterns. At every event where Ava appeared, there were always men in suits, men who did not seem to belong to the music world. They would talk to Diddy in hushed tones, passing him envelopes or small devices, French said. "I would hear words like collateral or agreement, but never enough to understand. Once I saw one of them nod toward Ava and Diddy gave this quick look, like he was making sure she was still there. It was not protective, it was possessive." The courtroom was silent as French shared a moment that still haunted him. In 2018, at a private estate in the Hollywood Hills, he saw Ava again, this time with a woman he assumed was a nanny or handler. "I was heading to the bathroom when I passed a hallway," French said. Ava was there, standing with this woman who was fixing her dress like she was prepping her for something. I heard the woman say, "Just do what he says and it will be fine." Ava nodded, but her eyes were blank. I wanted to say something, but the woman saw me and pulled Ava away. French's voice trembled as he admitted that he did not act. "I told myself it was not my business," he said. "I was in deep with Diddy's world. I had seen what happened to people who asked too many questions. But that moment stuck with me. I kept wondering what 'do what he says' meant. What was she being prepped for?" Over time, French started hearing whispers from others in Diddy's circle. A makeup artist at a 2019 video shoot pulled him aside, her voice barely above a whisper. "She told me to watch out," French said. "She said that girl is not just his daughter. She is part of something bigger. I pressed her for more, but she withdrew, said she had already said too much." Another time, a security guard at a bad boy event in Atlanta muttered something about the kid being a key. When French asked what he meant, the guard walked away, pretending he had not said anything. These fragments of conversation piled up, each one a weight on French's conscience. "I started writing them down," he said, holding up his tattered black notebook, a familiar sight from his earlier testimony. "Not just about Ava, but about everything that felt wrong. Dates, places, things I overheard. I didn't know if I would ever use it, but I needed to keep track to make sense of it. French read an entry dated March 2017. Dubai Club. Saw the girl again. She is too quiet, too still. Heard someone call her the Bond. Diddy looked at her like she is a prize. I don't know what's going on, but it's not right. He paused, looking at the jury. I wrote that because I could not shake the feeling that Ava was caught in something bigger than all of us. French testified that he tried to dig deeper, but the walls around Diddy's world were airtight. I asked a producer I trusted if he knew anything about Ava, French said. He told me to drop it. He said, "You don't want to know what is behind that door." That scared me more than anything. It was not just Diddy, it was like a whole network was protecting this secret. The jury sat engrossed as French described his growing obsession with understanding Ava's role. I would lie awake at night thinking about her, he said. Was she okay? Did she know what was happening? I felt like I was failing her by staying quiet. He admitted he considered reaching out to authorities but feared the consequences. I had seen how Diddy handled people who crossed him, French said. Careers ended, reputations got trashed. I was not sure I could take that risk. French's voice grew raw as he spoke of a final encounter in 2020 at a private dinner in New York. Ava, now around 15, was there, seated next to a man French did not recognize. She looked different, French said, older but still quiet, like she had learned to blend in. The man was talking to Diddy about future plans, and he gestured toward Ava. Diddy nodded, like it was part of the conversation. I left that night knowing I could not keep pretending I didn't see it. It was not just about one girl, it was about a system that allowed secrets to fester. I don't know the whole truth, he said. I don't have all the answers, but I saw enough to know something was wrong. Ava is not just a daughter. She is a piece in a game I don't fully understand, and I cannot stay silent about it anymore. Diddy shot to his feet, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. That is a lie, he shouted, his voice raw and jagged, cutting through the room. His face, usually polished and controlled, twisted with fury. You are making this up, French. You are trying to bury me. The judge's gavel slammed down, but Diddy kept going, pointing at French with a trembling hand. You don't know what you are talking about. You are twisting everything. The courtroom buzzed with shouts. Reporters scribbled furiously, and fans whispered in shock. Diddy's lawyers tried to restrain him, one grabbing his arm, another whispering urgently in his ear. But Diddy shook them off, his eyes locked on French, who stood calm but unflinching at the witness stand. You were my brother, Diddy yelled, his voice cracking. I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me? With stories about my daughter? The judge banged the gavel again, her voice sharp. Mr. Combs, sit down, or you will be removed. But Diddy was unraveling, his composure gone. He turned to the jury, his hands gesturing wildly. He is lying. He does not know anything about Ava. She is my daughter, my family. This is all to tear me down. His words tumbled out, desperate, almost pleading. A stark contrast to the cool mogul the world knew. French remained still, his eyes steady on Diddy. For a moment, the two men stared at each other, a silent battle of truth and denial. The tension was suffocating, every person in the room caught in the clash. A bailiff stepped forward, ready to intervene, but Diddy's lawyers finally pulled him back into his seat. He slumped, breathing heavily, his face a mix of anger and fear. French's facial expression was unreadable but resolute. He had faced Diddy's power before, but this outburst was different. It was raw, unguarded, a crack in the armor. The courtroom felt the shift, the weight of French's words about Lily now heavier than ever. Diddy's explosion had not just disrupted the trial, it had made everyone wonder